family first. Russians took out Lorenzo, and I got a plan to get him back. Are you in?
Don't do anything reckless, you hear me?
No, your testimony. It's the only thing that will make him pay for his crimes.
So moving into the second half of season 3, one thing I think we should all expect is some major twists and turns. We're at that stage where Tariq knows about Lauren, how Effie and Brayden betrayed him, but Kane was also involved. So the impact on business and personal relationship going forward is going to be a big problem. But that's not even half the story. The other major storyline will center around the Tejadas after Monet had Gordo kill Lorenzo, and this is going to shake up the Tejadas like never before. Over time we've seen how each one of them have different kinds of power and how they want to do their own thing. Diana wants independence, Drew wanted to live a normal life, and Kane wanted to be the head of the Tejada organization, and Monet wanted out of the game. But I definitely think we can all forget about that for now. Lorenzo's death is going to completely change every single one of these characters' perspectives and actions going forward, and it's going to start with Lorenzo's funeral and Drew seeking revenge on the wrong crew. So as usual, we're going to take a bit more of a relaxed approach in this video by running through a preview of episode 6 and all the clues and images, teasers, and interviews that were released earlier in the week. Or should I say a certain tweet that was released by Alex, who plays Effie, but I'm going to get to that later on. Now the title for episode 6 is The Land of Lies, and the synopsis reads: Tariq demands answers after a startling revelation shakes up the relationships in his life, both business and personal. Tragedy brings the Tejadas on the brink of war, as they work with the Castillos to enact revenge. So as many of you know, I like to make the classroom scene a big focus at the beginning of my episode breakdowns, and I know these classroom scenes may be something that probably divides a lot of opinions, but it is important because it does set the theme of that particular episode. And it's interesting that the promo images have a big focus on the classroom this week. Tariq and Effie are seated next to each other, and we as the audience know that Tariq now knows Lauren is alive, and that both Effie and Brayden betrayed him. But is it really betrayal? Something that I've made reference to before was how if Effie didn't have Tariq's back, then she wouldn't have got rid of Lauren. So I think there's a bit of a blurred line here, but one thing I do expect to see is a few indirect messages being delivered as Tariq and Effie give their perceptions on the Land of Lies. Now Alex Lepre, who plays Effie, also tweeted this not too long ago, and we do have to bear in mind, I think she does love to have a bit of fun with us Power fans. So I'm not so sure if we should be reading too much into a tweet, but this is what she said: You guys promised me whatever happens in the second half of the season, you're gonna stick by me. So could Effie do something that will have us questioning her in the second half? After all, she is a character who does look out for number one, but a character that I did break down who started to show a vulnerable side by loving Tariq. Now this situation is an absolute mess, and two people at the center of it are Brayden and Effie. And so it's not just Effie who will feel the wrath of Tariq St. Patrick, so will Brayden Weston, who, let's not forget, did want to actually tell Tariq the truth earlier in the season. Now I'm not sure whether we're going to see Tariq confronting Brayden in episode 6, but I'm pretty certain we're going to see Tariq confronting Effie.
What do you want, Tariq?
I want the truth.
Effie's in the same attire as she was in one of the teasers that was released before Go Season 3, and so this is where I expect Tariq to demand the truth, with Effie reaching for a piece. Now I still maintain, I highly doubt Effie is trying to pull a piece on Tariq, but we are getting to that stage where we can expect some major twists and turns, so I'm not ruling anything out at this moment in time. But what I am sure is, this relationship will never be the same, especially because we hear Tariq saying he doesn't have anybody he can trust. This is a scene with Tariq at Raina and Go's grave, and it's something I'm going to come back to in just a moment. But with Effie, we also see her coming to speak to Diana, and this was the last time we saw them having a chat.
You could have told me.
Yeah, and that's my bad. But I'm not fighting over no so he doesn't have to come between us. You should work with us.
Effie also gave her the idea to use the charm to get the books if she can't afford them from Salim. Maybe she was looking to help Diana, or maybe she was trying to keep her away from Tariq by sending her in Salim's direction. But I do wonder what Effie's doing coming to Diana. We know both her business and personal lives are going to be affected, but whatever Effie's going through, it can't be worse than what Diana's going through. So maybe she's actually here to try and be there for Diana after the death of Lorenzo.
You're gonna be the first person in this family to get a college degree, and I don't want you focusing on anything else.
Seriously?
Lorenzo was taken away by Gordo, who was sent by Monet, and so both Effie and Diana are going to be hurting in different ways, and who knows, we may even see them closer than ever before. Diana once asked Effie for help in season 2 because she wanted to hustle and go to school, but that definitely changed after Lorenzo said she's going to be the first Tejada to graduate from college. But could his death change Diana's perception on life? So let's see what's said between Diana and Effie in this scene. Now it does also seem like flowers are going to be sent to maybe Diana, and I wouldn't be surprised if these were sent by Salim after he hears about the death of Diana's father, someone who he did cross paths earlier on in the season with, but also someone who we still need to keep our eyes on. I still don't trust Salim, and considering we're now getting to the business end of the season, secrets are being revealed and betrayals, so could this also be another which tips Diana over the edge? Now over to the Tejadas, and before we get to the funeral, I think we're going to see Drew making his move on the Russians. I think it's pretty normal to want to seek revenge, and I think this may be the beginning of Drew's dark turn, but not before he seeks revenge on the wrong crew, and the Castillos are gonna help. I think Gordo has no option but to help Drew, because 1, they're in bed together, and 2, I don't think he wants to raise any suspicions it was him who slit Lorenzo's throat. But this is about to get complicated in more ways than one. We're not only gonna see Drew attacking the wrong crew thanks to Monet, but the man who actually killed his father is the same man he's in bed with. Meanwhile, Evelyn was someone who didn't want revenge, but the Castillos have to be at the funeral to save face. So over to Lorenzo's funeral. Now we're gonna see Kane walking in with Monet, with Kane taking Lorenzo's chain that he gave to him in season 2, and also his way of telling Lorenzo maybe that he's taking over, but also family first. Now looking on will be the Castillo family, but does Evelyn know about Gordo killing Lorenzo? This is another reason why this situation is so messy. Evelyn will know that Monet will definitely had something to do with Lorenzo's death, because she came to her in episode 5 and wanted her to get revenge for Uncle Frank, but she refused, because she didn't want her boys to pay for her father's sins. So it is going to be interesting when she finds out Gordo was manipulated into killing Lorenzo, because the one thing she wanted to avoid was a rift with the Tejadas, because that's not going to be good for either family. Now the only way I see the situation ending between Drew and Gordo is with Gordo's death, and it has to be Drew to pull the trigger. I know Kane will definitely want revenge as much as Drew, but Drew definitely needs to end him, and in my opinion he needs to do what he failed to do with Ev. Now everything that we're about to see go down from Kane fighting with Drew and the Russians retaliating is because of one person, Monet Tejada, but I wouldn't be surprised if Kane was able to connect the dots based on their last conversation that they had in episode 5. Monet was questioning whether IG actually killed Zeke, and I don't think it's going to be long before Kane, Diana and Drew find out the truth, but not before Drew attacks the wrong crew. The funeral will be interrupted by a drive-by from the Russians, and we're going to see them go into survival mode and Drew taking charge, but the battle for the throne definitely begins. So who's going to be the head of the Tejada organization after Lorenzo's death? We all know that Kane wants that position, but Lorenzo was prepping Drew, but Kane moving Drew out the way and taking the seat in episode 5 could be a foreshadow of them fighting for that throne. Now with regards to Monet, we all know she wants out the game, but the only way she can get control is if she takes charge, so we're about to see some feisty and emotional conversations. Now at the graveyard we're also going to see Grandma Estelle return for her first appearance in season 3, where it seems like she's come to visit Raina St. Patrick's grave. So here's where we're going to hear Estelle telling Tariq he's just like his father, which is something I think she was coming to terms with in season 2. Let's not forget, she did make Tariq aware that every evil that has befallen on the St. Patrick's is because of Tariq, which I kind of do agree and disagree with, because I do think there are a lot of other factors involved and a lot of people who can be blamed. But we all know how Tariq feels. He feels as if he's smarter and better than Ghost. So I'm definitely intrigued to hear what he has to say while he's at Ghost's grave. Now we're also going to be back to business where Kane gets a phone call in the middle of his poker game, as well as Obi holding someone at gunpoint, and we all know how he's threatened the crew before. We also know how he's not a big fan of them either, so he would love nothing more to put a bullet in each one of them, but why he has a gun to someone is something we're going to have to wait and find out. But that's a preview of Ghost Season 3 Episode 6, an episode which will change relationships forever. Tariq and Effie will never be the same, and neither will the Tejadas, and we can thank Monet for that. But drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section and let me know your predictions for all things episode 6. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.